Welcome back, everyone. So why would an actor stage such a big hoax? That's one of the many questions some people are asking following the verdict in the Jussie Smollett trial. Beverly Hills psychiatrist Dr. Carole Lieberman is joining me now with some possible answers about this fake attack. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate you being with us here. So we've been talking about this for a while, this elaborate hoax. What do you think? Is this a case of someone trying to get attention, or could he maybe have some mental health issues?
Well, if he didn't before, he certainly does now after what he's been through. But, first of all, he is one of 6 siblings. And so he has been jockeying for position and jockeying for attention all his life. Also, he supposedly wanted to get more money from the producers at Empire. And also, his parents met, they were both civil rights activists. And that's how they met, and his mother still is. And he may well have been wanting to carry on their legacy, but not really knowing how to do it in a more appropriate way. Also, it seems like he could well be a pathological liar. People who are pathological liars do lie for a reason, lie to get some benefit. And obviously, he was trying to get everybody not only to pay attention to him, but to pay attention to the issues of gay hate crimes and racist hate crimes. So, he certainly got people to pay attention to him and the issues, but now, as it's come forward that it was a hoax, it's really not looking at these things in a good way.
I don't know how closely you watched the trial or watched him at all, but do you think he's a pathological liar, or just did it for attention?
Well, a pathological liar, first of all, they are goal oriented. He was goal oriented in his lie. They're also manipulative and have an underlying personality disorder, which he may well have, such as a sociopathic personality disorder or a narcissistic personality disorder. The answer really would depend upon whether this is the only occasion that he has made such exaggerated, unbelievable lies, or whether he has done this as a pattern through his childhood. It can start in childhood, depending upon certain influences that you have in your life.
So is this a case where he could actually maybe believe the lies himself, like he's convinced himself that this really happened?
Yes, pathological liars often do convince themselves, which is why they are able to be so convincing. And with Jussie, as each lie or each part of his lie was confronted, he just made another lie to add to it, to try to make an explanation for it. And that's how he got himself into trouble. Because the more elaborate, he made the lies to explain the previous lies, the more it was unbelievable. And also the way that he was on the stand. I'm a forensic psychiatrist and expert witness. And so one of the things that we learn, even as an expert witness as well as a defendant, is that you don't get into a defensive or snarky kind of contest with the attorney who's asking you the questions. Juries hate that. And that goes along with, these other aspects of his personality that go along with a pathological liar.
But couldn't, if you're on the stand being grilled and questioned, you could be nervous or it's just upsetting. Does it really necessarily mean he's a pathological liar? I mean, anybody would just be frustrated by being grilled like that.
Yes, myself from time to time as well. So yes. But that in itself doesn't mean that he's a pathological liar. It's just that some of the personality traits, like someone who was narcissistic or someone who was sociopathic might also get into this kind of sparring with an attorney. It's hard. It is hard when you're on the stand and an attorney is asking you questions and framing it in a way like he said, some of it is true and some of it isn't true, but you're supposed to answer yes or no. That is really difficult.
So now doesn't this make this hard on real victims? Because he went and did this, he gets convicted, guilty verdict. So now people who actually face these type of attacks, especially imagine if you're in Chicago and there's something really awful like this really happens to you, something similar, and then you got to go to the police or you got to tell people. Isn't that going to be even harder on the victims? I mean, this case has made it harder on true victims.
Yes, absolutely. Here, to whatever extent he had a good reason in his heart. He wanted to draw attention to this hate. It really is coming back to bite him and to bite all future victims, because they're going to be looked at. Oh, are you just doing a Jussie Smollett?
You sound like you're cutting him some slack, though. I mean, do people use mental health issues as an excuse for everything, or they're just bad, evil people?
No, it depends. Usually, it's a combination of all of those things. I didn't mean to. I wasn't necessarily cutting him some slack, other than to say that on the witness stand it can be very difficult depending upon the kinds of questions that you're asked. But no, I mean, I think what he did was terrible. And yes, primarily because it did the exact opposite. It made it worse or harder for victims to be believed, when they say that they have a hate crime. And especially when, he was found to be connected to the letter that was sent to Empire, the letter that described, racist hate and anti-gay hate. And then when he didn't get enough of a response, they didn't take it as seriously as he wanted. That's when this happened. And interestingly enough, in that letter, there was a picture, besides the words, there was a picture of a man with a noose around his neck. And lo and behold, in this crime, coincidentally, claims that, well, there was a noose around his neck, but which was another thing that was really, really revealed that it wasn't true. Because if anyone, whether it's race or religion or whatever, if you are if a symbol of hate against you, your religion, your race is put on you or connected to you in some way, the first thing you want to do is to get rid of that. That would be, you couldn't stand continuing to have that on you.
Yeah, the jury certainly found his words and his reasoning for things and his excuses. They certainly found that to not match up with the story. But Dr. Carole Lieberman, we appreciate you helping us analyze this. We always appreciate you being
Thank
here with
you.
us on BNC. Have a good weekend.